Hey gang, so it has been quite a while since I've done a video, but I'm here today to review the Pumpkin Preview Collection from Bath & Body Works fall preview, the 1 week preview that was just about a week, 2 weeks ago at this point. So I purchased the little, I think they're calling it a coffret, of the 6 preview pumpkin candles from the Pumpkin Cafe collection, as well as just a couple odds and ends here, one of the weekend apple picking soaps, and then the owl with the leaves candle thrown in there, or the leaves wax thrown in there. So I'll run through these reviews. Obviously, a lot of these, actually 3 of them, are returning favorites that we've all smelled in the past for the past few years. And then we've got 3 new ones that are either new or twists or slight repackages or duplicates or whatever the case may be with Bath & Body Works White Barn. But I will go through, sniff them, read the notes, just to give you my second opinion, third opinion, whatever it may be on these candles. And I really love actually the marketing on these. I think that the labels are really pretty this time around. And they've done a really nice job making it a cohesive, Pumpkin Cafe collection, and calling it Pumpkin Cafe. That's why we're getting, for the most part, we're getting sweet pumpkins. We're not getting, something like Pumpkin Hayride last year, and even Pumpkin Apple is not part of this pumpkin collection. It's part of the the We Love Fall or whatever that may be collection. So it's sort of Mixins. These are all sort of the sweeties candles. So it just says here on the bottom of the box, you see pumpkin season is almost here. Bring home the season's most delicious indulgences with these amazing new pumpkin fragrances. Everything is better when you just add pumpkin. And then of course that's pumpkin cupcake, pumpkin pecan waffles, pumpkin caramel, what is that? Latte, caramel pumpkin swirl, vanilla pumpkin marshmallow, and spiced pumpkin cider. So I will go through all 6 of those, and then I'll do a quick sniff again on the weekend apple picking there. So again, just diving right in, these are just the mini candles, so they're, you don't get quite as much of a smell on them. I actually plan on potentially trying to use these, maybe popping the wax out and melting them to get a stronger throw than just burning, the tiny little wax pool you get with the single wick there. But we'll see. So first up, let's try pumpkin cupcake. Again, the label here, I'm going to try to focus. It's quite sunny, so here we go. It's got that raised, kind of embossed edging and font there. And pumpkin cupcake, obviously a pumpkin cupcake. The notes are satisfy your sweet tooth with the scent of a freshly baked pumpkin cupcake covered in loads of rich buttercream frosting. Now the weird thing is these, it's like, I don't know, they're very hit or miss for me lately, Bath & Body Works. They, obviously lots of changes have been going on if you, follow the Bath & Body Works White Barn community online with through Facebook or even just through YouTube. Lots of changes internally, externally, and just there are some random things with the collections that I think are strange, and even just down to the label, like the writing, on the 3 wicks, the new 3 wicks, the sort of blurbs where they describe, 100% satisfaction and the even wax pull and all that. It's just messy. It doesn't look good. There are typos. There are spelling errors. Even this, just doesn't look good. Like the Costa, the 450. It's just really large. It doesn't look. There's a quality. There's like an eye of quality that is just missing, I think, from the latest styles and things they're doing. So. Whatever. Anyhow, this one made in Canada. That's interesting. So pumpkin cupcake. Everyone really knows this. There's not much to say about it. I bought it 1 year and I didn't really love it. I skipped it 1 year entirely because I thought it was too sweet. It is very sweet, cakey, very little spice to it. Again, pumpkin. When you're doing pumpkin baked goods, mostly what you're looking for is just that mix of spices that become pumpkin spice, just like a pumpkin spice latte. There's no pumpkin in that. But for what it is, it's very nice. It's not too caramely. It's not too anything. It's really a very nice bakery with that kind of fall spices in it. Actually, you know what I think it's similar to? It's like kind of like the pumpkin version of apple crumble from a few years back that I loved, and I'm shocked that did not come back. But it's sort of like that, like a little bit of a light spice to it, but primarily bakery. So that's that. We'll set him on the owl for now. Then we've got Pumpkin Caramel Latte. First appeared back in 2011, so it's an oldie and it's come back every single year. I didn't love it at first. It's still, to me, not my favorite, but I think it's worth burning. Again, really nice label there with your big fluffy latte there. And the notes, the season's best latte, artfully made from a rich blend of creamy pumpkin and spiced caramel, topped with tall peaks of sweet cream. Well, again, they're being honest that there's really no coffee or espresso scent or note in this whatsoever. It is very much caramel, sweet, sweet cream, and they say creamy pumpkin, but there's creaminess, but I would not say that it is pumpkin that you're getting in there. It's very, very rich. It is milky. It does smell like a dessert beverage that you'd get at a coffee shop. You know, it's more like the super crazy sweet frappuccinos or something like that that are more dessert than, you know, coffee beverage. But you've got a lot of milk, a lot of that sweet cream in here, almost like a sweetened condensed milk because it's so heavy, like a, you know, and just a little bit of a light caramel that's not too burnt, not too dark. Very sweet, very milky. But when you're in the mood for something like that, it works for what it is. So that's that. Then pumpkin pecan waffles. This one started as a test scent last year, went wide. It was next to pumpkin carrot cake, I believe, which did not go wide. And when I first smelled this, I thought it was a duplicate, actually, of a test scent from a few years back that I'll get into in a minute. This was one of the few times, only, you know, a handful, 5 or 6 times ever, that I've returned candles at Bath & Body Works. I purchased it in the 3-wick, smelled it, never burned it, and I just could not get into it, so I returned it in exchange for something else. Cute label, notes on it. Delight in the scrumptious scent of pumpkin pecan waffles, pure maple syrup, and a touch of brown sugar. Now, I know that people, like, freak out over this scent. You know, they buy multiples of it. It's, you know, bestseller from last fall, all of this, but I just can't get into it. And again, I'm turning a new leaf and getting a little bit more into bakery with some of the wax tarts that I've, you know, purchased. But with this, it's not all that for me. It's you know, it's not super sweet. I don't get much of the way that, say, cinnamon sugar donut gives you an absolute true donut. I really don't get much of a waffle in here. There's just sort of a very light kind of generic bakery for me. Maybe a little bit of the pecan. Like, there's something a little nutty in here. Tiny bit nutty. But no real maple smell either. Which, if they're saying maple syrup, you know, maple isn't that difficult of a scent to, you know, duplicate in home fragrance form, but I don't get much of that from this. And in fact, I think I'm sticking by. I know people may have disagreed with me back then, but I'm kind of sticking by that I think this is that is actually a repackage of this oldie from 2012, I believe it was. This is Toffee Glazed Popcorn. It came out with the first incarnation of roasted pumpkin butter, blueberry pumpkin patch, chocolate bacon cupcake, and farm apple cookie. It was like I think it was a set of 5 candles that came out late 2012, right alongside cedarwood, oak, and sweater weather. None of those went wide that year, but then you saw some of those candles, obviously, last year, 2013. This was not one of them. It says here, the yummy scent of caramelized toffee and warm butter drizzled over freshly popped popcorn, inspired by fall evenings by the fire. And for me, it really was just very light. A little bit of, again, like a little bit of that kind of toffiness that you get in the pumpkin pecan waffles, and a little bit of like that buttery bakery, but absolutely no popcorn in this. Doesn't smell anything like, say, you know, the Summer Boardwalk or the new Artisan maple popcorn. So I actually think that may be the same scent. Agree, disagree, whatever. I don't love it, so I wouldn't buy that one in the 3-wick. It's just, if anything, it's just not strong enough. You know, if it was more authentic or had a stronger scent throw, I might, but just don't love it. We'll quickly look here at the owl. I've always been a fan of Bath & Body Works when they've done their sort of figurines. I'm trying to get a focus here. There we go. Throughout the years, Slacken always did really nice ones every season. It seems like with White Barn stores, maybe they're going to lean more that way with a little higher end, you know, decoration with the quality of the products. This quality is fine. It's just nothing special. It used to be a little bit nicer. They would have a more variety of them. It would have like a year stamp down here with, you know, a faux kind of autograph of Slacken, to say that it was designed by Slacken & Co. This is just a small, I believe, 2 ounces, which oftentimes the decorative candles are larger than 2 ounces. 2 ounces is really small. I think they used to be 3, sometimes even 4. Just 2 ounces of leaves, which of course everyone loves leaves. I'm not even going to read it. I probably won't burn it. It's more kind of purely decorative. Although I suppose if I burned it, maybe I could use it for actually holding the little mini candles, something like that, if I fully burned it through. But it's a, you know, creamy white fall owl. I really love fall. It's my favorite season, so I do like to decorate for it and put things out. So that will work. It's got a little pumpkin down there that is nothing, that's not from Bath & Body Works, just a little tea light holder. And then we move into, I'll do the soap last, but then we move into sort of the stars of the show in the sense that they are the 3 scents that are new. We've never seen Spice Pumpkin Cider, Caramel Pumpkin Swirl, or Vanilla Pumpkin Marshmallow. And at this point, it's kind of odd. Usually, if they do test scents, you know, they always do test scents, and there are a few from every collection that don't go wide. And Vanilla Pumpkin Marshmallow was in 3-wick form in test stores, but it looks like it potentially might not release as a 3-wick, nationwide, which is strange because why would they then put it into their pumpkin preview little the little 6-pack here? There are other candles in the collection they could have put in there, so just kind of strange to me if they don't. It could have been they could have thrown in sweet cinnamon pumpkin or something. Anyhow, let's sniff. First, let's go with Caramel Pumpkin Swirl. So this one here, it's an image of a triple layer cake, or quadruple layer cake, as it may be. And the notes on it are, enjoy a marvelous mixture of 2 of fall's most delicious scents as sweet, smooth caramel swirls fresh pumpkin. See, I don't know, they're copywriters, I don't get it. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Delicious scent, 2 of fall's most delicious scents as sweet, smooth caramel swirls fresh pumpkin. Like, you mean swirls with fresh pumpkin, or combines with, I don't know. Swirls, I guess, is the connector there. So Caramel Pumpkin Swirl. Sniffing it, it's got a decent note to it. It's definitely, again, there's really no spice to this, which, if you're looking for pumpkin, hard to be authentic. No, I've always said it before. No one wants to smell a wet gourd. Well, most people don't want to smell wet gourd. Maybe there are some of us that would like something a little kind of earthy and authentic for a real pumpkin scent, like when, what it smells like when you cut into a pumpkin and you're carving it or taking the seeds out or whatever you're doing with it. Or even, the canned pumpkin puree before you add spices and things to it for your pumpkin pies and things. But there's no pumpkin in this. It's really just a type of caramel. Now, it's not a burnt caramel. It's not a standard, classic caramel like they do with a lot of the notes, like, say, salty caramel or things. What it actually is, and I'm pretty positive of this, is a repackage of a scent from last year's holiday traditions collection, which was Cinnamon Caramel Swirl. Now, I reviewed it, I enjoyed it, I never actually lit it, didn't get around to it. There were just too many other fragrances, candles that I loved that I wanted to get through. The notes on this one read, the ultimate blend of creamy caramel, cinnamon, and sweet vanilla creates the most delectable fragrance treat. Again, they show a cupcake on here, but it's not cakey, it's not bakery, it really is just cinnamon, caramel, and vanilla, so it's kind of just a generic tub of that, of caramel, really. And I said at the time that it kind of reminded me of a little bit of like a burnt caramel, or, if you were drizzling caramel over, it's sort of like the light drizzle on top of the frosting there is really what this is, just if it's like a caramel that hardens over other treats. It was nice. It's got cinnamon to it. Take it or leave it. And that's really, I believe, what this is here, the Caramel Pumpkin Swirl. I don't think there's any difference. It's really hard to tell, and again, in the little single wicks. I believe that's what it is. No pumpkin. They could have twisted it a little bit, thrown in something to make it, a little clove or a bakery note. They clearly have the ability to do bakery well in some ways with the cinnamon sugar donut. So it's like, why wouldn't they make something that's more of a true cakey scent? Because they've got cupcakes and they've got waffles and they have, red velvet cupcake and frosted cupcake and pumpkin cupcake and all these things, but they don't, to me, really have a true baked note. It has bakery qualities to it, but not the way that cinnamon sugar donut, there's no question what you're smelling. The other ones, you could call them, that could be, spiced pumpkin bread, pumpkin cupcake, pumpkin, patootie, whatever it could be, and there, you'd never think it was named incorrectly. So then we move on to 2 more. Running through here, we've got Vanilla Pumpkin Marshmallow. Now, I'm a sucker for marshmallow scents. I'm not sure why, but like a whipped, sweet kind of vanilla that's got that marshmallow note to it. I don't know why, but I really, really love it. Lavender marshmallow in the spring, failed test scent, don't know why. Really fantastic. I just really love, across the board. I love when they do pocket packs of marshmallow. I just really like it. I don't know exactly what it is, but I like it. Clearly like meringue, And the notes on this one are the comforting sweetness of vanilla combined with a mouth-watering cloud of pumpkin marshmallow. Okay, so they're not giving us much there. It's really just the name of the candle. And sniffing this, I don't know why, but I just really love it. Now, I've sniffed it. I do think it's not brand new. I think it's either maybe not quite on straight up repackage, but it's a reworking of scents. It does smell again. I think other people have said that it's similar to pumpkin cupcake, and I get a little bit of that pumpkin cupcake sweetness, but there's a cream to it. Not the sweet cream that you get in pumpkin caramel latte, but still an absolute creaminess. Wouldn't necessarily call it marshmallow, and certainly not really pumpkin. There's the spice in here. Then I do get like, to me, it smells like a nutmeg, like a creamy nutmeg almost. And actually, what it reminds me the most of, I'd say, again, a little bit of the pumpkin cupcake, but also a good bit, let me sniff here, yeah, a good bit like White Barn #1 Nutmeg and Spice. This came out first 2 years ago. It looks like it may not be coming back this year, which is a shame because I think it's just a really lovely, creamy, beautiful scent. Along the lines of, like, say, Kitchen Spice. This one is a warm and cozy fragrance inspired by an elegant mixture of nutmeg and all of autumn's very best spices. Nutmeg and spice. Not super spicy, not really cinnamony. It's really creamy nutmeg, a little bit of sweetness, but just like a warmth that kind of wraps you up, in a blanket. So I actually think it's very similar to that. And I think other folks have also mentioned that it smells similar to this old guy here from, gosh, 3 or 4 years ago, an aromatherapy sleep collection, Vanilla Cinnamon. And the funny thing with vanilla cinnamon is it really didn't have much of a cinnamon note to it. Smelling it now, it's also similar to that. Just a sweet, creamy vanilla, but not cloying the way that vanilla can be. Just a very subdued, calm, sweet vanilla, a little bit of creamy nutmeg, and that's that. I really like it. I'd love to see it, release in a 3-week nationwide. And then finally, one that I was not really excited about, and on first sniff I was not impressed with, but I think it might be growing on me, is spiced pumpkin cider. Now, spiced cider has been around for years. It's an old classic Slatkin that may not be coming back this year. I'm not sure, but it was always out, and I figured this would be just maybe that repackaged, but it actually is quite different. The notes on this one are a warming blend of orchard fresh pumpkin apple cider, ground nutmeg, and a hint of clementine orange. So we're talking, I've never had pumpkin apple cider. I've had apple cider. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've never seen, I don't know what can make it pumpkin. You're not going to drink pumpkin, and really, if it's mulling spices, there's no difference between what would go into an apple cider or, a pumpkin whatever. Nutmeg and clementine. Let me get a sniff on it here. I've kind of destroyed the top of the wax to try to really get the oils out. I'll say right off the top of my nose, it's got sort of an artificial sweetness, similar actually to the caramel pumpkin swirl. Not that there's supposed to be any caramel in this spiced pumpkin cider. But it's sort of like a very, very artificial sweetness. Similar to, actually, I should have compared this. This actually smells a lot like cider donut to me from last year. Didn't come back. This could actually be cider donut. Because cider donut had a sweetness that at the time reminded me of a failed, we're going back here, a failed holiday collection test scent that was a bright pink candle. I think it was called Sugar and Spice, that came out fall 2012. I really liked it. Didn't release wide. And then I really thought that cider donut was almost a repackage of that. And this has that same kind of intensely, like, sugar sweetness, like bright sugar sweetness that had, because the cider donut really didn't smell anything like the beloved cinnamon sugar donut. So this reminds me a lot of that. I do get a little bit, it doesn't really smell like, say the pumpkin apple candle much, that we know from last year and this year. I suppose maybe some nutmeg, because there's no real cinnamon. It would be a little bit more of like a nutmeg. And I get the tiniest bit of the orange, which is nice. It livens it up a little bit, like you'd expect, a cider drink to have like a slice of, cinnamon stick and a slice of orange, like the label shows. But yeah, that actually smells quite similar. If anyone has, I have one, but I don't have it nearby here. Cider donut candle and the spiced pumpkin cider. Smell them side by side, tell me what you think, because there's almost an odd sort of little bit of bakery note to that spiced pumpkin cider that would make sense if it is cider donut. And just really quickly, I'll compare it to the old classic spice cider, which was, the notes are, I'll just read them to you. It was apples, traditional malting spices and a touch of vanilla. The difference between spiced pumpkin cider and this, if I can get the lid off. I mean, this is just a pure apple with cinnamon and some like a heavy clove note, I think. Very little vanilla. The spiced pumpkin cider, but it's kind of authentic in a way. The spiced pumpkin cider has, again, it's that sugar rush sweetness that this standard spiced cider does not have. But I do believe spiced pumpkin cider does have a little bit of that orange note to it. But again, more of almost the creaminess. I think it's the same cider that Cider Donut had, at least. So that is my, as usual, overly long video. Really quickly, I guess I'll sniff this. I mean, it wouldn't be a video if I didn't drop something, right? If you could only see, I'm holding that damn little pumpkin with my foot. Weekend apple picking, preview scent for the soaps that are coming wide in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure it's probably a repackage of some apple soap they've had before, but it's really nice. It's not musky, it's not too heavy. They say breathe in the fresh orchard air, blend of juicy red apples, maple-kissed air, and warm woods. Less woodsy than it sounds. Really just a fresh, fresh apple, a little bit of maybe kind of that, the woods note to it, but nothing overwhelming. I think it'll just be a really nice, perfect intro to fall fragrance. Pick up the pumpkin. There we go, back on track. Yeah, so that's my review of that. Just a little heads up, if anyone made it this far, then I assume you're a regular watcher that takes the videos all the way, so I always appreciate that. Just a little update on what's going on and why I haven't had any of the test collections. Unfortunately, the test store that I used to purchase most of my candles from appears to, at least for now, no longer be a test store, so they don't get the candles in super early and they don't get the fun test scents in. It's kind of bummed me out a little bit. The big reason why I started this channel was certainly not to show off or to say that I'm the ultimate guru or know-it-all of fragrance, but it was because if you look back to my very first video, actually, no one at the time was talking much about test scents, and no one was talking about, at the time it was a gold lid aromatherapy home fragrance collection, and the way I got hooked with it was that they had released 2 iterations of it that were very different, maybe 4 or 5 months apart. This is before gold lids ever came out in the white barn look that we all know at this point. And I was just fascinated by it, and I thought it was so interesting, and there were some repackages, but some new ones, and some I loved. And no one was talking about it, and my friend Karen sent my way, had her channel, super successful, and I had guest starred a few times on that with her, talking about other test scents we had found throughout the years. But then it was summer of 2012, and no one was talking about the gold lids, and I said, well, I saw people on Facebook were talking about it, and I figured, well, let me give it a shot, talk about them. Since I had the resource of the test store, then I was able to grab things, talk about them, show you guys what they are, and more. For me, I really enjoyed the test scents because more often than not, they were a little weird, a little different, not the mainstream scents that were going to sell crazily, but they're the ones that I really loved. Oftentimes, if there's a collection of 8, the 2 or 3 that I love are going to be ones that don't release wide. This spring, I really loved lemon cucumber. I really loved lavender marshmallow. The list goes on and on. Heirloom greens. Just so many things that don't release wide. So it's kind of dampened my enthusiasm a little bit here. I'll still do videos. Give my 2 cents, because I certainly enjoy giving my 2 cents or my 25 cents or my $10 worth of opinions. But it won't necessarily be the same. I won't be buying probably as much as I used to, because it was just, I would get sort of overwhelmed and overly excited when I would see a whole new collection, and I'd want to share it with you all, but that may not be possible moving forward. So I have some other ideas for the channel. I think I'm going to bring in some actual body fragrance, some higher end reviews like that, because I'm super interested in kind of all things that smell good, whether it's not the same way that Scent My Way does, but I have interests in candles and body fragrance and wine and really anything that has sort of in-depth notes like that. So not that I'm going to be doing wine reviews on this channel, but just sort of more insight into what I enjoyed. So that is that. If you made it this far, you are my champion. I thank you so much for watching. Continue the conversation here or more easily over on facebook.com/TouchTheFireTwice. And I will be back soon with additional videos on the Artisan Collection and maybe a few other things. So thanks so much for watching, and take care.